I think your dog is stuck. Nope, never mind.
Daisy.
She weaseled out of there.
She is a little weasel. Little weasel.
She kind of has the proportions of a bratwurst. Like a bratwurst with legs.
Yeah.
If I'm on very many more of these, I'm going to have to go buy a 12-pack of hams so I have it with you boys every time I'm on.
That's right. You should.
Okay.
I am paid to show up here and deliver laughs and love.
You're right.
You just ruined that.
He's going to like that one. He's going to like that one.
Welcome back, everyone, to the podcast. We got a little fun episode. We have a bonus hybrid episode. We're gonna finish up our talk on the NCAA tournament that just concluded on Monday with Houston and Florida. Poppa P is back on the ones and twos.
Yo.
There he is, all the way from Knoxville, Tennessee. Not wearing his Houston shirt tonight, guys. Just so you guys know, if you've been keeping up over the last two podcasts. And we got Matt and Trevor back in the building.
Yes, sir.
I've been here for a few of them. I guess Matt's been gone for a while.
Hey, I've been here.
The bonus episodes, you guys have not been here. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was sparkling conversation too, man.
That was.
We were right on, man.
Yeah,
we should be nationally televised.
Gotta listen to that one.
Your dad's replacing us, right?
Yeah.
Like this is that was his audition and
was
he
his
aced
tryout.
it.
It was so good that we're both out.
There's no replacing,
Gotcha.
fellas.
They're like,
There's
you know what?
no replacing.
Those extra mics, just get rid of them.
Yeah, all of a sudden
we're
there's
gonna
gonna
sell
be no more
those now.
mics here.
I'm selling them. I'm
I'm
selling
just
them.
happy you guys invite me back every now and then.
Love it. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about it,
Yep.
guys. What college athlete was your favorite to watch in any sport, such as football, basketball, baseball, etc.? I'm going to dive right into it. DWade and D-Rose. I
Sure.
remember vividly watching those guys during their two tournament runs, especially DWade. You remember we would go over to Trent's house for every NCAA tournament? That's when, and that's I don't know, for some reason I vividly remember that. He was a good friend. He had a basketball court in his garage, and we would just go up there and watch hoops.
A basketball court in his garage?
Yeah, half court. Yeah, it was sick.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, like glass backboard, the whole kit and
Sure.
caboodle. A huge scoreboard on the left-hand side. It was legit. But then what D-Rose did in college was unreal. Like that run he had.
Didn't somebody else take his SATs?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
That's the Derrick Rose in college I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
Somebody else
that's the
did
part
he
that we
come
were
from,
watching.
Taylor? What high school did he come from, Taylor?
Simeon, which
Yeah, boy.
is in Chicago, where D-Rose, Jabari Parker, and
Powerhouse.
what was the other one? There was one other one. Actually, no. Sad story. He actually got shot, unfortunately. But he was supposed to be like the next.
Len Bias, wasn't it?
Was it? There's a
No,
documentary on him.
Bias was cocaine.
Oh, yeah.
There's a
I
documentary
can't
on
remember
this
the kid you're
kid.
talking about,
Yeah,
Taylor,
no,
but
yeah.
There was three of
got
them.
shot in the playground.
Yeah. And then
Heard
football.
That was one of the best documentaries. I still haven't watched it yet.
You should watch it. It's really good. Football. Vince Young. You remember that guy?
Vince Young.
And I think what only attracted me to him was like the weird throw he had. It was like a sidearm sling.
Isn't he a lefty too?
No.
Was he
No,
not?
he was righty.
No.
No, he's right-handed.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember when they played, who'd they play in the national championship that
USC.
year? USC, yeah. And he ran into the end zone and did a little dance.
Vince Young was baby Steve McNair.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's the best
Steve
way to
McNair,
put
what
it.
a
Yes,
player.
that was. Speaking of people getting murdered, Steve McNair.
Jeepers.
Yeah, Vince Young. I mean, again, I'm not really a college person, but I just remember those USC teams had so much hype around them, and I do remember actually watching that game and just Vince Young pulling that so far out of his butt with kind of there was a substandard. Like Texas team, right? Like
It was
they
an
weren't the
average
best in the
Texas
world.
team.
Oh no, I think SC and Texas were I think those were the two big boys that year.
Oh, were they? Okay.
I don't think anybody thought anybody could beat SC. That was Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
SC was the
I
cream
think
of the crop.
Texas was good, but I don't think anybody just thought that they could beat SC. That was the whole thing.
Sure.
I think, yeah.
Those are my two.
Well, I've got a couple, and I think I'm going to be the only one that covers baseball here. So
I saw this. I
don't
like
even
this.
watch any baseball.
you know, I used to go to the College World Series quite often. Like I've probably been there 4 or 5 times. My dad would take us to Omaha, and I mean, it's a blast. It's super super fun.
Yeah.
When it back then was super cheap to go to. Now I could have no idea what the cost would be to get into those games. But really, it's just like you show up to the park early, and then you just hang out all day, and it's wonderful. I did not see Stephen Strasburg pitch in the College World Series. I wish I would have, because he was just a monster. I don't know. Again, you guys don't really follow baseball that much.
I know who Stephen Strasburg is, and MLB wise, not college wise though.
Yeah, so he was like in that 2010s ish range. He was at San Diego State, and I can't remember if he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Again, I was a Sports Illustrated kid growing up, so that kind of was the most important thing in my life for most of it. And I can't remember if he was on the cover or if he was just a story inside or whatever. But I looked up his stats because I just needed to kind of remind myself, because I remember he was incredible. But so he had 375 strikeouts and 50 walks in his 53 collegiate games. So he had less walks than he played in actual games.
He only played in 53 total games, and then he got drafted, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I mean, different for pitchers.
Yeah.
You play a lot less or whatever, but like he had 195 strikeouts in his senior year.
Jeepers.
He almost had 200 strikeouts. That is insane. That's insane. He was I mean, he was just the man. There really isn't like
Talk about dominance.
I mean, I guess Skeens, you could probably say he's probably another phenom pitcher that's come through. Jack Leiter, who I think is on the Rangers now, like he was pretty good in college, but
I mean, you don't usually last that long.
The kid from
either.
No,
who's the kid from Vanderbilt? Who was the who was good in the pros for a few? He might still be.
Oh,
black kid, Vandy, big. He's a big dude.
Yeah,
he was on that. He was on that. I think he was the number 1 pick. Like a Skeens or
I know. Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about, but the name is escaping me.
Yeah,
but,
I'm not gonna hit the name.
But that's the thing with like college baseball is like those guys are getting drafted like every single year, and they're like, you know, depending on where your stock is, you're gonna leave. So like, really, it's really hard to like stick around for that long. So Strasburg being there for 3 years and then just becoming like an absolute monster in his last couple of years.
Yeah,
and I mean, granted, his MLB career didn't go that well. It definitely took a violent turn downward once he got really, really hurt. But he still won a championship with the Nationals.
Mm-hmm.
And
did he ever win a Cy Young?
Like no,
he didn't.
No,
he was always. I knew he was always hurt. But and what I was going to make the point of, they don't throw pitchers like they used to in Strasburg's era. Like they just went out and just threw.
No, that dude was pitching 8 innings.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And now it's you got 60 pitches. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna take you out and then put in some relievers.
Yeah. So he was just a completely different workhorse, and honestly, like you were saying, of a different era. There's no pitchers that are doing it like him anymore. No. Like even Skeens in college was not doing that.
No.
In football, Cam Newton was just insane to me. Like I was literally watching Auburn games every single week because I was like, I have to see this guy play, because he was just the biggest. I mean, you want to talk Steve McNair? I mean, Cam Newton had Steve McNair's body and Mike Vick's speed. Yeah. Arm wise, I wouldn't say he had either of their arms, but you know, whatever. But I just remember watching him being like, God, is this like the next evolution of quarterback playing right now? Mm-hmm. Which is how aggressive and physical and.
The answer was yes.
And the answer was yes to a certain extent. Cam Newton's like post MVP career, not so great, but like I just remember it was like appointment television. I definitely had to watch it. I just thought he was like the next guy.
And you mentioned you don't watch much college football, so he brought you to the TV and said, "Hey, I got to watch this Cam Newton guy."
I'm not joking. I think after what game was it? They must have beat like LSU or something like that. And I remember watching the highlights on SportsCenter. I was like, I have to watch this guy. And I would just watch every single week.
Nice.
And especially the Alabama game, where I think that was the one where they returned the field goal at the very end of the game. I think that was I think that was that era.
It was close to that era. I don't know if he was still playing. That was an unreal game.
But anyways, I just remember like seeing him play, and I was like, I can't believe, like, he is a human being who can do that.
Yeah,
who can play that well.
That's wild. Trevor?
I really didn't watch much of college other than March Madness. So, I mean, I did go back. I've watched the DWade Wade run. I love that run. I cannot for the life of me remember the names of them, but there's two guards in Auburn like 5-6 years ago. I love the run that they went on. They were just on a heat streak. They weren't even that great of guards. I don't even think they went anywhere after college. But they were just hitting every shot they took in that tournament. But I also went to school at NDSU, so there's Carson Wentz, who had an unfortunate end to his career. Well, he's still going.
He's still gainfully employed.
Yes, he's doing actually the best job in the league.
Back up to the backup?
Absolutely.
Practice squad.
Exactly what you want to do, make your money and do nothing.
Yeah.
But
that is true.
Basketball-wise, we had a very short run for NDSU in March Madness, and Lawrence Alexander. Nobody here will know that name. But look up his stats when you have the time in the first round of March Madness. He is a guy that was not supposed to do all that much, and he went off.
Was he averaging like 30 points?
Well, I mean, they only won the first round, but he had 40-something, I think, in that game.
Oh, he did. Jeepers. Okay.
And he was not supposed to be our star player. Our star player did nothing. What was his name? Taylor something. I can't even remember because Lawrence Alexander stole the show.
Classic. You got to have some of those in March Madness. You got to.
Yep. It was awesome.
You're not wearing your NDSU quarters yet.
Vikings today, so that I could have the Tennessee orange under it.
Ooh.
So you can hide
All
it.
right.
I do respect that. What do you got, Pops?
Okay, you guys aren't gonna know any of the guys. A lot of Gophers here, boys and girls.
Okay.
A lot of Gophers.
Okay.
Starts out with when I was little, listening to Gopher basketball.
Damn, you're old.
In the barn whilst cleaning barns. Ron Behagen, Dave Winfield, boys. He was a basketball player to you.
He's got a son in the NFL right now.
Winfield?
Is that his son?
It's not Winfield Jr. No,
they're not. Okay.
That Winfield played football as well.
I'm talking about Dave Winfield, the
baseball
3,000 hit boy in baseball.
Yeah.
The whole deal.
Yeah.
He played two sports at the U.
Okay.
Okay. So those are my first two memories. Listen to those guys, living and dying with those guys, and they were pretty good. But their claim to fame was when Ron Behagen helped up an Ohio State player and kneed him in the balls and started an absolute brawl at Ohio State. But Behagen was good. But anyway, that's my first, those guys. Then it kind of jumps up to when I was in high school, and then you're talking about the Kevin McHale area. The Kevin McHale, Michael Thompson, Ray Williams era of the Gophers basketball.
Yeah.
And I even saw a couple of those games.
Damn, I
with
forgot
my
Kevin
brother
McHale
Brian.
went to
Shout
the
out to Zeb. You didn't know McHale went to the U?
I remember it now, but I was blanking.
Yeah, we that was one of the best. And then that's when I started catching Gopher hockey. So that was back in the Neil Broughton age and all those guys. I mean, they were always good, but that's Neil Broughton and the boys. I did see Michael Thompson absolutely torch Joe Barry Carroll at the barn because everybody thought that Joe Barry was coming in. You guys remember Joe Barry Carroll? You even know the name?
Nope.
He didn't have that great of an NBA career, right?
No, he didn't pan out in the NBA. He was good in college, but yeah. But he was a freshman, and everybody thought that he was going to take Mike to the barn. And Thompson had like 34 and 12 and just kicked his ass. And McHale, with his little skinny chest running around, he was a freshman. He weighed, 6'11", $180 or whatever the heck he was in college. But and then Ray Williams was, and Flip Saunders too. Flip was a guard there too.
Jeez.
Yeah.
What are you a Chris Humphreys fan at all?
He was good in college, but as soon as he started taking up with the Kardashians, I went up.
Okay, he does know good. I was testing you.
Testing his pop culture.
You're keeping up with the Kardashians, man. I can tell.
Oh, yeah. Keeping up with them all right.
Yeah.
And then, so that was like middle school, basically. And then it jumps to Duke and when they were rolling with Johnny Dawkins. I loved watching Johnny Dawkins play, lefty. And that's the Billis. That's when Duke became Duke. If you guys haven't seen that documentary, you should watch that too, even if you're not Duke fans.
I was just going to say you'd have to pay both of these guys a lot of money to probably watch that documentary.
It's really good though.
Is that Coach K's like first couple years, right?
That was like the year that was his first recruit. Billis, Tommy Amaker,
Dawkins,
Johnny Dawkins, and there's one other one. Johnny Dawkins was his recruit. Billis was good. He was this all-CIF guy in California. But when he pulled Johnny Dawkins, that brought everybody there. So I like them. And then in high school, it was Larry and Magic, man.
It'd be hard watching hard not loving those guys, watching them in college go back and forth like that.
Yeah, I mean, Larry Legend came on out of nowhere, obviously, with Indiana freaking State, and then Magic with Greg Kelsier and the boys throwing all those lobs, and Magic was Magic. So
he was Showtime before he got named Showtime.
Yeah, man. They were fun to watch. And him and Larry, but that's where it all started. I remember watching that my junior year, that championship game. Watching that.
That was a national championship, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, Michigan State ended up winning that, didn't they?
Yeah, they ended up beating them. Yep.
Classic.
And that's when Larry became Larry. So those are mine, though. That started way back. A lot of Gophers, though, because, man, you're Minnesota, What the heck?
Listening to the radio in the pig barn.
You got it. Clean a barn, listen to that AM radio, fade in and out while you're trying to hear a score. And dang it, come on, man.
You're only 29, right?
I am. Thank you.
I love it. All right.
Thank you.
Let's transition. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this thing. We've been covering the NCAA tournament, my dad and I, and then bouncing some stuff off of Trevor and Matt too, talking about it. We watched the championship game together on Monday. Did anyone watch all the games of the Final Four? Well, there's only two of them. You did, Trevor?
Mm-hmm.
Dad, did you? We couldn't. Did you end up watching the Florida-Auburn game?
We watched a little bit of the Florida-Auburn game because I was watching on the phone.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Kyle had up, but, it was typical SEC game there.
I was going to say, what'd you think?
I thought Auburn gave it away a little bit.
I feel like that was the MO of the Final Four and the championship game. Like, just
all the games that the winner didn't win, the loser lost it for themselves.
Yeah. But Clayton had how many that game? 34?
30. Yeah, 34.
36?
No, 34.
I mean, and that's his game. I shouldn't say Auburn gave it away. The whole time, and I said this when I was talking to you guys, I didn't think Auburn was the overall seed, the number one overall seed.
No.
I really didn't.
Were they? I thought
Duke
was.
I feel like they could have been at the time when they actually said it. It was more so like some of these teams were showing up later in the season, I guess.
Yeah. But the Florida-Auburn game, it was, I saw them play all year. So, I mean, that was kind of a typical game there.
Yeah, Florida was kind of...
is a stud.
Yeah.
He is, but, I mean, they were all doing the same thing. It was like the beginning of the game, it could be anyone's game. It was just, can you stop Florida when they start hitting their streak?
Which is always right around the 7 to 8 minute mark in the second half. It always is.
You have to be ahead by enough, apparently, when their streak starts.
Yeah, because they got enough shooters, and their bigs can shoot. That Hout kid can shoot it, and then the two guards can shoot it, and they just keep rotating those bigs through. And I'm not a Florida guy. I didn't want either of those guys to win, that, but.
End of that game was 79-73. Florida shot 38% from three. Auburn shot 28%. Clayton Jr. had 34 points. And then Chad Baker, what is that?
Mazzaro.
Is he the other guard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, for the Tigers.
For Auburn. 18 points. And then Broom had 15. And I said on the podcast, if they can hold him to under 18 points, I think they had a really good chance. And
I was very
they ended up holding him under 18. So
I think I get all the money if Auburn would have pulled that off, because I think they could have beat Houston. My bracket was I would have won it. Auburn won it all.
I don't believe that Auburn would have came close to Houston.
Oh, I think they would. I think Houston has the same problem Tennessee has. Their offense isn't consistent enough to keep. Their defense will hold them low, but like if your offense stops at any point, you're gonna struggle.
Houston's shooters did not shoot well in the second half of that game, and their one the guy I was talking to you about, Spare, who knocked out Tennessee by himself in the last 3 minutes. He hit 3 threes back to back to back.
That's not
It's Spare, isn't it?
No, Clark.
It starts with an S, but he was non-existent. He didn't make any shots, and he was the one who turned it over at the end. He's the one, and that's the championship game. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but what about Duke? Duke Houston.
Duke lost.
Gosh, Duke Houston. I don't even know if I want to talk about this game.
Okay, here's the deal. You got to score, and Duke didn't for the last 10 minutes.
Yep.
Well, even without that, at 7 points with what was the time left with when that technical foul was called?
30 seconds.
It should have been almost impossible to lose.
Well, yeah. That's the point. You missed a couple free throws, and things happened. That dude went off. He made 3 threes in a row. I mean,
the big change was that inbound that went straight to Houston.
That was just a horrible.
Yeah,
it's a horrible inbound. You guys want to talk pet peeves? There you go. How people can't get the goddamn ball inbounds in college basketball now is freaking beyond me. Yeah. It drives me freaking nuts.
I do have a question for you on that, though. Is that a coaching problem or the players being dumb?
That's a little of both.
Okay.
In my opinion, they're not running deep. They run the same stuff. They try to make one screen and then they try to screen off a guy.
Yeah.
And referees aren't going to call anything at that stage of the game unless you absolutely maul somebody. So as you're trying to hold that guy off, that dude's just going around.
And that down screen or up screen is the easiest thing to switch in the world.
Yeah. Some of these guys aren't even screening. They're going straight to the corner, getting trapped and doing nothing.
That's what I mean.
Like it was pathetic.
I got an out of bounds play that works all the time. It had worked. I wrote this up at the bar in front of my lovely bride on a receipt, and then UT came out and ran it. I'm not lying. I'll get Michelle up here right now.
You sent it to Rick Barnes real quick and be like, "Yo, run this at the end of the game."
Well, all I can tell you is when we were trying to get the ball in bounds, I said, "You got to run this damn play," and I wrote it. Up on a receipt, and I showed it to my lovely bride.
Oh my
and
God.
3 minutes, 30 seconds later, Ricky Barnes comes out with basically that play, but not right. Because it did.
I love it. Before we jump into anything else, Duke. Houston won 70-67. Houston scored 9 points in the last 33 seconds. Duke, 67 points were the second lowest total they had scored all season. Duke has been putting up a lot of points. It was an execution thing down the stretch. It was a big, huge time freshman air execution kind of thing. Like not being able to get the ball in is unreal at the end of the game. Because literally, get the ball in, get fouled, make one free throw, let them come down, get a shot, get a rebound, get fouled. They didn't even have to go make 2 free throws, like you said, Trev. They were up.
That technical should have been the end of the game.
Proctor needs to give the damn ball up. Number one.
Yes.
Okay. He's got a 90% free throw shooter in one corner.
You need at least 75.
And he's got another 80% free throw shooter in the other corner, and he holds the ball to get fouled.
I also didn't know he was shooting that bad from the free throw line because usually I thought he was like 70+%, if not better, in the season. But no, who knows?
Kind of their shooter. How do you shoot so bad?
He should have thrown that to Knuppel or Flag, and he held it, and it's like no. And then okay, I got one more thing to say because again, Duke's got to score, and they've got to make free throws. I mean, they were their own worst enemy. However, in the all refs suck theory, not even theory, fact,
let's hear it.
That call that they made on Flag over the back was absolutely horseshit. You don't make that call. That is ridiculous. If they don't get that, don't get that call, Duke's got a good chance to win that. I firmly believe it because they would have got the ball back, and you never know what happens. That call changed everything.
It did. Cooper had control of that ball
Yeah.
Yeah.
But once again, with that said, they should have never been there.
No. You're absolutely right, Trevor. That's what I'm trying to say. That's absolutely true. Yeah. However, this is when those morons make that kind of call at that is garbage.
Yeah. I do think it would be different if it was over his back, but they were literally almost on the side of each other, and he reached out to the side instead of over his back.
He's hooking them at the same time, so it's like to call one over the other is like, all right, whatever.
What's bothering me too is like people are saying Cooper Flagg lost that game for him. He had 27 points. He's the one that kept us in that game.
No,
he literally kept us in that game.
He proved who he was again.
Yeah,
I don't think he should be the number 1 overall pick anymore.
Just because of that call.
Yeah, I can't believe it. No, that guy. My God, he is Jason Tatum. He is like seriously. He's incredible.
No, he's Jason Tatum. You're just gonna...
Jason Tatum, the champion.
Yeah.
What do you? No, he's shrugged that off. He's looked great this year.
Oh,
no, I mean it. Cooper Flagg is amazing.
Well, don't forget, according to the analysts, he's better than Scottie Pippen already.
Jeepers.
Wow.
I think he's coming back.
Really?
Wow.
I think he's going to Duke. I think he's coming back.
I do too, and we're going to get into that later in the podcast. We're going to talk about NIL, transfer portal, and some other ways that we can possibly clean up the NCAA stuff. But let's talk championship game. Florida-Houston. Florida won 65-63. Florida led for 64 seconds total in this game.
You felt it while watching it.
Yes, you did.
You felt those teams, both of them came out so tight. And just coughing up ball, bad shots, like all of these things where I'm watching that first half. And again, I don't watch a lot of these games, but I'm like, God, this is tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is this usually how it goes? Like for
Florida,
games like this?
Was.
I mean, it was just like sloppy plays, like stupid turnovers, like just taking really bad shots, especially Houston. I feel like that's one thing, that you can chalk up a lot of things, but them just absolutely bricking 3 after 3 in the first half.
I mean, I will give it to
when they
both
up
teams
that game,
have fairly decent defenses. I'm not saying these shots were reasonable to take or anything.
Going into the tournament, Houston was ranked 1 in college defensive efficiency, and Florida was number 8. So yes, they were they were both top 10 defenses.
They're good at creating tough shots, but still, it's
that's
not
how
acceptable.
Houston wins ball games. They win ball games on defense, and then they turn them over, get easy buckets. Yeah.
Both teams shot poorly, like Matt said, 39 and 25% for the Gators, 39 from the field, 25% from the three-point line. Yep. And then 34% from the field for Houston and 24%. Clayton Jr. was non-existent in the first half.
No,
non-existent. He was like 1 for 14.
Yeah, he was dreadful.
But what happened? What did I say, Matt? 6 minutes. 6 minutes, this guy's going to do something. What did he do?
It was probably 3 games in a row that he did that.
It was. Yeah, it was.
But you could tell Florida in that second half, those bigs, and we were talking about it, we were like, why? The bigs are getting it really close into the paint, and they're just not putting the ball up, and they're immediately kicking it out. And Clayton Jr. is like really doing his best J.R. Smith impression, and he's like, he's like, fuck it, this ball's going up. Sorry for the F word, I probably shouldn't use that. But Clayton Jr., he would just get it, and he would just immediately launch it. And every single time I'm like, well, that coach, who is apparently 39 years old,
39.
which that is a tough one for me. That is tough. Okay, I thought he was much older than that. Just really thinking about my mortality and things I've accomplished in my life.
Sitting here in a basement of my house doing a podcast about him.
But just watching those bigs get the ball low and then just not even go for a shot and then kick it out. But it ended up working.
Yeah.
It ended up working out for them.
They got hot. Florida got hot.
They got really hot. But the state
It's one of the best shots in basketball, though. Although I agree with you. It is one of the best shots in basketball.
Statistically? The offensive rebound and the kick out?
Yes. The offensive rebound, kick to, because what happens, everybody's sort of collapsed.
Yeah.
You got the guy sitting and right to rim. But for how fast they were shooting it, I agree with you, Matt. I mean, and that Condon kid, they got it in low to him late, and he was throwing up stuff like he was in middle school.
Trevor and I were saying that. He couldn't function down there.
Mm-hmm. No, he was like, what are you doing, dude? He's a good, solid big, and he was throwing up stuff like, I was going to say, no.
That was
literally
throwing
up stuff like middle school. I was like, oh, Jesus.
It was 20 seconds after we said that, why aren't they giving it to the bigs? And all of a sudden he did something like that, and it was like, oh, well,
He had two or three
getting the ball back.
He had 2 or 3 times down there where he tried to make a move, and he would go into the contact, and then instead of going through the contact to draw the foul, it was like a over the back hook. It was. I can't even describe it.
This
it
might
weird.
be. This might be a side tangent. What has happened to post moves for big men in college? Like
the game has evolved.
I don't think it's...
the sporadic and like horrible footwork that I saw from all of the bigs in those game in that championship game. I was like, well, no wonder these guys are not trusted to shoot it.
Well, I think this is one year where like you don't have as many talented bigs for one. I'm not saying they're not talented. They're just not the same level of what you're probably talking to.
Yeah. But the happy feet and
but
the
very
shuffling
happy
and the we got to get this up.
We're also at a day where big guys are going to be more, or good big guys are going to be much more rare because nobody wants to play down there. They all want to go out to the perimeter and jack up threes all day long.
The game is
it's transitioned.
So
but
much,
look at Broom. He is solid inside. He's got like those Jokic feet. He's not shuffly. He's just very smooth and fluent.
I've never heard that used as a compliment.
Yeah, so me and my dad said, I don't know if you guys listened to the last podcast, he's very flat-footed. He's extremely flat-footed when he makes his moves.
On the ground.
He's shaking the whole floor when he
shaking
steps.
the whole floor.
Yeah.
It's different when you're so smart that you can do whatever you want with it, though.
But he can also step out and shoot. But that big guy in Florida got called for, 4 travels?
Yeah.
It was like 3 or 4 travels.
I don't know if it was...
Everybody just needs to go to the Hakeem Olajuwon School for Footwork.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't you guys remember every single NBA player would like, oh, LeBron is going to work out with Hakeem Olajuwon this summer. Dwight Howard,
They still do.
Seen with Hakeem Olajuwon. Like,
Kobe was with him every single summer.
I fully believe it. Like, everybody's got to go to the Hakeem Olajuwon School for.
Now, when you're 7'9", you go to the Curry School of Shooting instead for no reason.
It's terrible.
Kobe went down there. Kobe went down and trained with Hakeem the Dream.
Oh, yeah, he backed people up a lot. He's
absolutely
those kind of
That's
moves.
Just my side tangent from
like
watching a very minimal amount of college basketball compared to everybody else here. But
I think it's just the same. I think it's evolved, and I don't mind. I think some of those guys got pretty good post moves that are just hanging out, but you just don't see it that often. You know,
I think, we talked about this. I think they're too quick to make decisions down there. Like the NBA guys, get it. They analyze, they see what's going on, and then they make their move. Those college dudes,
these guys just don't have the awareness that those guys have down low.
I feel like they should at that level, and if they're playing that much at a college program, that's just my
opinion. Feel them on your body. You turn the direction that they're
that's what I mean.
Body. Like it's not.
This could be when we start talking about what you need to do to improve the game.
Yeah,
but the bump back down has to go away in college.
You're saying like the bully ball type of thing?
The hammer back down, the shoulder, when they just they just that whole bump, because if you weigh it doesn't matter, how big you are. Even if they arm bar them, hammer, move. They've got to get rid of that somehow, and they will. They've got to figure out how, because that should be. It's ridiculous that you can get away with that offensively. But as soon as you try to stop the guy defensively, it's a foul. It makes no sense.
Yeah. I was going to say, if they're allowed to do that, you definitely should be allowed an arm bar at least.
Well, I think they do a little, Trevor, but if you do it too much...
they let it slide, but it's definitely not supposed to be.
You try to give a little more hammer, then that's a foul. Well, the dude's shouldering me, giving me a damn body block.
Well, nowadays, you even get fouls when they just fall over trying to hit you with their shoulder. It's like all you did was step back.
Bronny?
Oh, hey, he doesn't play enough to get those calls.
I meant his Poppa. I meant Poppa Bronny.
Yeah, Poppa Bronny. Come on.
Bronny.
Come on.
Oh, man.
So just real quick to kind of wrap up this conversation.
What's up?
Do you guys feel like Florida won this game, or did Houston lose it?
I think Florida's the better team, but in that particular game, Houston kind of lost it.
I agree. I think Houston
Because I understand Florida only led for like a little over a minute, but like watching the game, even though Houston was up, I never felt like they had any sort of control.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Is like Florida actually was a little more in control. They just weren't getting shots in.
They weren't executing.
Yeah, they weren't
all that well.
And then I agree. When I was
I'll
watching,
disagree. I thought Florida won it.
You did?
Okay.
Yeah, I thought Florida won it.
When I was watching Houston, they play frantic, so you always don't think they're in control. They're just so all over the place. You're just like, okay, they're up by 9 right now. It doesn't feel like they're up by 9.
Well,
You're
I
just
think
like, what
part
the
of the
heck?
reason I think of it the way I do is because, for example, if Duke made it there, I think Florida gets just trashed the way they played. Like,
Yeah.
if Duke played their game and Florida did the same thing they just did, they lose by 15 to 20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Duke probably would score more on.
Yeah.
Oh, and
exactly.
one last question on the one last thing on the championship game. Okay, I'm not a Calvin Sampson fan at all, but what in the absolute hell did he write up for that last 10-second play?
Oh,
What was that?
that's.
I mean, seriously, what was that? That was nothing. They did nothing. That kid who ended up double dribbling. Did they even set two? It was ridiculous.
No, it was a
Now,
down
that's when
screen.
you're put.
It was
Yeah.
a down screen, and actually Clayton Jr. got lost. So he got a free run, but the screen was never really set. So Clayton Jr. just came flying and jumped at him when the shot was going up, and that caused a double dribble. If you watch that,
double dribble.
he had room.
Yeah.
And man, you have to get that shot up. You have to either try to draw the foul, you have to go into him, you have to try to throw it over his arms. You can't lose that way, in my opinion.
But I mean, to Matt's point, are the players, not smart, or is the play not good? Well, that's when I think the players, I don't know what the hell they were doing. Because, Sampson wrote up, he's been coaching forever. He wrote up a good play there. And I'm watching that going, I told Michelle, I go, they're not going to get a shot off. I mean, I literally said that. And when it started, I just went, they're not going to get a shot off.
Yeah, that's one of those ones you want to see the coach reaction right away because, he's just pissed.
Yeah, it was a poor play. They had enough time to actually drive or work it into the paint a little bit. I understand that
10 seconds is forever.
They were going for the win. Okay, that's all fair, and that's Houston's game is shooting threes. But settling for that shot and then him not even just trying to put it up. Like, it's literally your season on the line, and he just drops it like that.
Well, that's the point. I mean, that's the point Taylor's making. You gotta shoot that somehow. But again, I just either you said it, take it to the rim, do something. I just don't know what they were doing there. I have no idea what those players were thinking or whatever.
You know what they needed? They needed you in a bar with your wife next to you, writing on a receipt.
All right,
a solid
on a damn receipt.
a solid out of bounds play to get that ball, and then Sampson would have been calling you saying thanks. Master P, you got me a great play, man.
Next time I see you guys, I'll write it up on a piece of paper for you, and I have a witness.
I can't wait.
We'll frame it in a new podcast room. I love it.
Right.
That wraps up the tournament. Not my ideal ending. At least it was a good game. Like, at least it ended the way it ended. You know what I mean?
It got exciting.
Yeah, it got exciting. All right. Keeping with the NCAA theme tonight, that's what we're talking about. Let's talk transfer portal quick, and we don't need to go crazy with it. I got some stats on it. I got some updates on what's going on. The big question for what I have for you guys is: do some athletes go into the transfer portal and actually hurt their potential with NIL value and recognition that could be had if they just were to stay at the same school? Like, for them bouncing around to next school, to the next school, to the next school, is that hurting their potential? I don't know if a lot of these guys are getting drafted, but are they losing out on money? Because I believe these kids should be paid. I believe they should be paid. I like the NIL. Advertise the crap out of yourself. Do whatever you want. But
this is like going to the West Coast and job hopping. It is not going to hurt their money case. It could hurt their name or their reputation, sure, but
what if the school doesn't have enough? Here's a stat. When the portal opened, 700 kids went into it. That was the start of the Sweet 16. The next day, another 1,000 kids went into the transfer portal. So that's 1,700.
If you're a guy that's not getting paid very much and you're gambling on your future,
yeah,
then you might be hurting yourself. But I don't know why you're doing it in the first place because no one's seeking you.
No one's seeking you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's when people are lying to them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when those so-called agents or whoever's telling these kids this crap, they're lying to those kids and their parents.
Yep. That they can get the money.
Right.
Yes. Someone's selling them a bill of goods.
The people who should be leaving and moving, even if I don't really like when they do it, are the ones that they already know. Everyone wants them.
And those are the kids that are being told, well, you better leave to get more money.
Yep.
By agents or by agents, parents,
by
and
everyone.
Maybe even.
By the agents who are telling them and their parents, get them somewhere else. This isn't a big enough market, blah, 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 which I think is a lot of that's bull too, but whatever.
I don't know. I got a little older mindset when it comes to this. It's like if you're on a scholarship, let's say at Big 12, Big 10, SEC, ACC, like those big time schools that get tons of airplay, tons of recognition, tons of games on television. You're a scholarship player, you're 6th or 7th man, like maybe you're making $100,000 a year. I don't know how all that stuff plays out. Like unless you're a top player like Cooper Flag or like the lottery picks, you're not making that much money in college.
It's a lot more than I was making in college.
Well, yeah, that's a lot more than
Were you good at basketball? No? All
That's
right.
not my
then
point,
you don't get
though.
$100,000.
But he said they're not making very much money. That's kind of relative.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like sport-wise, though, if you look at it, you're just
sports-wise,
like,
no. I see what you're saying.
Looking at the entirety of the market,
No, I get
the
what you're saying.
sliding scale of what these guys can get.
I'm just saying that all these college athletes can afford to stay wherever they were.
The funniest thing that, to me, it's enabled is there's 24, 25-year-olds remaining in college because they keep extending their eligibility. Yeah. Guys, it's time to get a fucking job.
Yeah, you got dudes
they
playing
right now.
Get a job.
You got dudes playing for.
Listen, man. Listen.
Yeah.
You are going to be an incredible financial advisor. Your dad is going to hire you at his insurance agency. Don't worry. You can get that real estate license very quickly, my man. Don't worry. That communications
to stay in school and play basketball. I'm staying in school.
That communications master's degree is not going to do shit for you in the real life. Okay?
Oh man, I love it.
So just move on. The business economics degree is not going to help you if you get a double major in it.
The university studies will, though.
What are your thoughts on the transfer
for
portal opening during the NCAA tournament?
That doesn't
That's
make
weird.
sense.
It's just wrong.
It's wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a complete distraction.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you have kids on your team leaving and now they can't be a part of the team
And
because
coaches.
they're gone. Yes, you're right. And coaches. A lot of coaches.
I was going to say the Will Wade thing for McNeese State, and they're saying before the tournament starts that he's already going to take that other job.
NC State.
At a minimum, if they're going to do that, it should at least not be like public knowledge until after the tournament or something.
Like, because what does that do as a player, too? It's like, oh, shit, my coach is leaving.
Just getting abandoned.
Like, okay,
like,
am I going to try?
My coach
is
is going to a better place.
Yeah.
Nothing else matters here.
Yeah.
So, and this is why I kind of picked against McNeese State,
Yeah.
also thinking, well, they've never actually won a game of the tournament.
Sure.
And then look at that, they won. That's
They
great,
won.
whatever. But yeah, I don't understand it why you would open up that window when the season is still going, because how are you getting those recruits if you are obviously in the NCAA? And also, you just have to be stressing as a coach to be like, well, we got to the Sweet 16 and everybody saw my players on display, and now 7 of them are taken off.
That's what I was about to say, is you go to the March Madness just to be a coach that's going to leave a team and go recruit all these other guys from all these other teams.
Like you're a feeder system.
Yeah.
You're AAA that you're just training all these guys and grooming them to get up to the major leagues, and you're never going to have an Elite 8 berth in your career because everybody just keeps hitting the market, which is the incentive for the coaches to be like, well, I'm going to go to the bigger school because then I've proven that I can get these kids ready, but now I'm going to be in that position of authority that I can do that. Yeah. That you can dictate the market.
NCAA boys, the NCAA they're morons.
It's bad.
You know? They screwed up the NIL. I mean, they could have got out of this with nothing, and now it's the Wild West because they had a monopoly. Right? They had a monopoly. They tried to play hardball, and they got screwed over on it. And now it is free. It's a free for all.
Yeah. Here's some quick stats. Portal opens March 24th, and it is only open until April 22nd. So it's going to be closing here. New rule as of 2024: immediate eligibility is granted to athletes in the transfer portal. It used to be you needed to sit out a year if you transfer anywhere. Yep. If you transfer up, if you transfer down, if you transfer in conference.
And that would hinder this.
Yes. Oh, it would.
That would stop it if you were told if you transfer, you got to sit out a year.
Yep.
Now, maybe not the future attorneys or whatever jobs they're going to be doing, the laundromat owners. Like, maybe those people will be like, I don't care. I plan on being in college till I'm 28 anyways.
So they got rid of that right when everything really opened up after COVID, because 2020 COVID happened. 2024 is when they took that away and granted all these kids their extra years and extra redshirt years and all that stuff. So
I've said this on this podcast to you guys already. You give them one time. You get a one-time jump. You know, I'll give you 1 year. You can go one time and be eligible immediately. Okay? But if you do it more than once, you sit out. You lose a year. And that would stop.
But you can still transfer. You just lose a year.
You can transfer.
Okay.
You can transfer, but it's like the old days. Then now you got to sit a year. You lose that year eligibility. That'll take care of half of this crap.
No, you're good. We're gonna continue on that topic here because that's the last thing we're gonna talk about. What are ways we can fix, or what are ways we can think about fixing this? There's a do not contact option that I just saw. So players can write a letter to their school and say, "Hey, I don't want to be contacted." That's when they think they have someone else in mind that they then can initiate conversation. I
don't understand why you'd ever do that, though.
I don't either.
Because tampering is already done. Yeah,
that's why your man.
That's why
your St. John's man got fired from Louisville.
No kidding.
He was doing stuff ahead of his time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All those guys were Bruce Pearl. All those
yes.
guys.
Coach Cal. Yes. Why do you think he got Cal. John Wall, Calipari, or not Calipari? DeMarcus Cousins.
Yes.
Anthony Davis.
As a kid in these programs, like, just keep all your options open anyways. Who cares? You're already going to sign with someone. Like, I'll still listen to you tell me that I'm going to make quadruple.
Yeah, true.
Whatever.
Make it a bidding war.
Yeah.
Scholarships. While current scholarships remain in contact after a team or after an individual enters the portal, future scholarships are not guaranteed.
Which makes sense.
That does make sense. It's like
it should definitely be the case. Like,
if you change schools, man, you shouldn't get what you had.
Yeah, but listen to this, though. Beginning in 2025-2026 academic year, scholarship limits for Division I sports, including basketball, will be eliminated. All athletes on a basketball roster, which is 15 max, can all get scholarships now. So that's changing. Most schools
they all will have scholarships, or the scholarships getting eliminated?
They're allowed to offer 15 scholarships now, because they used to go by numbers for the conference depending upon money and all this other breakdown. So I want to say there was a max of like 6 to 8 total scholarships per team, and that's based off like the ACC stuff that I read. I don't know when it comes to SEC and all the other big conferences.
Just get a full team of full rides.
You literally can get a full team of full rides, and they can leave the next year and be like, okay, I'm going to go somewhere else and try to get a full ride.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which that shakes guaranteed to get a full ride anywhere you go now. Then
that shakes things up. Yeah, well, might not even need a full ride. It's like, okay, here's your NIL money. Are you going to pay for school, or are we going to?
I'm gonna hold my scholarships talk for the can we fix it?
Yeah,
because
that's actually something I had in mind as well.
Yeah,
I love it.
I do think I think a big part of this NIL stuff was, for basketball-wise...
This is a good segue, because NIL, let's jump into it.
To combat how everybody was doing the one and done. Just from the basketball standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
The top players were leaving, and now, because they have the guarantee of the money when they go onto the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Now you have the incentive to stay because there is money to be made, and it could rival your rookie salary for the first year, whatever, and you can grow and be better, whatever. So that there's actually some continuity in the product, and not Kyrie Irving playing 8 games for Duke and then jumping to the NBA, like that kind of stuff. Like actually sticking around and like being a part of the culture a little bit more. This is not a better situation than the one and done, I would say. Maybe it is for the college fans. Maybe you guys like the fact that these guys are around for this.
I don't.
Nobody wants a
like all
jumper.
the jumping.
I don't like him jumping.
But this is kind of like they're not treating the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're like injecting some more viruses in and being like, "Oh crap, that thing really mutated.
It really took off. Yeah.
Good lord."
Well, that seems what it feels like they did.
The NCAA could have taken care of this very simply. When all those kids started bitching about we don't have any money, which they don't, right? I mean, they didn't. A lot of them don't, right?
Mm-hmm.
All they wanted, you heard this. I remember hearing this from like guys like Jay Billis and all those, the guys that are in the know that have played and all that stuff. All those kids wanted was money to like get back home if they had to.
Yep.
Like for whatever, or they wanted to go out. Well, and I'll say and have a beer and a pizza. You know what I mean?
Have a good college time.
That's all. That's all those kids really wanted. You know, give me whatever the number is. Let's go hard here. Give me $500 for the good ones, whatever the pay scale is. Give them $500 a month to just do whatever they wanted to do. And I will bet my life on it that 90% of those kids would have went, I'm in. I'll take that. And then I got my scholarship and I'm still playing ball and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But instead of that, the NCAA went, nope, you don't get squat. You can't to go anywhere. No one could give you money. I don't care if your parents have died in a fiery car crash. No one could give you money to go back to the funeral. Screw you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the kids finally went, they got a couple lawyers that went, that's ain't right. And now this is what we have. Because the NCAA are arrogant sons of bitches. And they got screwed.
Yeah.
They got screwed.
It's too one outlier to the other. Just like you're saying. I even remember the Bo Jackson 30 for 30 where he was talking about, and this isn't even money related. This is when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were looking to draft him. So they ended up sending a plane for him to come and do a team interview. Well, that was against NCAA rules.
He was in college, right? Yeah.
That was when he's in college and he's playing baseball.
Yeah.
And because of that infraction, he had to sit out his senior year of baseball.
That's nuts.
And because of that as well.
His whole senior year? Not just a game?
His whole senior year. Wow. And then that's when he told the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if you draft me, I'm not coming. And he didn't, and they drafted him because they were trying to call his bluff, and he didn't come. Uh-huh. And that's why he ended up in the supplemental draft, and the Raiders ended up drafting him.
Jeez.
But that's how harsh it was. A team that you're doing an interview with, there's no other financial things attached to it.
Yeah.
Literally just to do a pre-draft interview with. Which it's so funny this week. There's so many guys that are going for these pre-draft interviews right now. They're just getting flown out, going all over the place.
Yeah.
Complete opposite. Forced him to miss something that he loved so dearly that he was like, I will forego being the number one pick in the NFL draft because I hate the Buccaneers that much that they put me in this position.
Dang.
That I missed my senior year of baseball, that I will just get drafted for pennies to go play for another team.
Huh.
And it's just swung so much.
To another. Great, yeah. There was no middle ground. It just went from, and I still blame the NCAA. They were just arrogant. They thought no one could touch them, and they got nailed, man.
Yeah, and the kids are making their money now, and they're in commercials and they're advertising.
Doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me at all. Make your money if you're that good in America or the world or whatever, however big your market is. Sign deals, sign to Nike, New Balance, Cooper Flag, shout out, just saying. Do all those things. So I like it.
You mean bingo.
Paige Becker, Juju Watkins.
Let's
Caitlin Clark, all those girls.
Let's fix the NCAA then.
And we're going to. So how can we fix it? Is it contracts? Is it buyouts, players and coaches? Is it penalties for players? Is it incentives if they stay longer? Like, what do we think? And I'll jump right into it. I think you put them on contracts. I think these scholarships should be, all right,
I think
here's
your technically are on some sort of, it's not the contracts that you're referring to.
No, you can just leave. You don't have to do, it's no contract.
That's actually what I was going to bring up before we even start on this topic, actually. Okay. Is apparently there's a guy named Xavier Lucas that went to Wisconsin.
Okay.
And Wisconsin's complaining that they didn't allow him to go in the transfer portal because they had signed him for a 2-year deal.
Okay.
Which is where I'm thinking it's a contract type of situation.
Yep.
And so they're saying, well, we didn't have to give him the rights to go into the portal. He then got a lawyer, dropped out of school at Wisconsin, enrolled in Miami without any sports relation, no portal related things. And then because he's at Miami and enrolled now, he's going to join the team.
He can play
and
sports.
There's still no penalties to waiting out a year or anything.
Interesting. That is
so
the
now
first.
They're taking it to court.
That news right there is the first time I've ever heard of any kind of contract, because a scholarship is literally the school giving you money to come play sports for them, and you can leave and quit and do whatever you want whenever you want. So I didn't know that.
Well, he definitely would lose his scholarship in that case, but I don't know what else was involved in that contract, because I know that colleges are now trying to do, like, you get the rights to a whole bunch of things, like I don't even know what the list goes into, but it's just ridiculous things that are like, if this guy does even this, like, I get money for it.
Yeah, they can make up any list they want. But, like, let's take I'll use Duke for an example. With Cooper Flagg's news of possibly potentially coming back and foregoing the draft, sign him to a contract. Be like, all right, here's your next 3 years. Here's your pay scale, because that school makes so much freaking money, and he's making good money off of NIL. Give him incentives. You finish school here, you graduate, here's a bonus. You score this many points, here's a bonus. You get this many assists, here's a bonus. Like, do it like they do in the NBA. Just give him incentives to play ball there. What do you think?
Then you have to guarantee that you have the NIL pool of money.
Okay.
And I think that's part of the problem, is that, and I work in the fundraising world, and I think I brought this up before. I don't quite understand how they are able to move this money around so liquidy.
Freely?
They're really acting like they've got cash on hand.
Yeah.
Because they put it in a big, basically all the donors and stuff. You have and I'm not going to come up with the right word. You have it's not a conglomerate. Well, maybe it is.
It's like a co-op or like a big old escrow account. It's like an escrow account. They just
literally have all that money sitting there, Matt. They know exactly how much money's sitting there.
Right. So they have a restricted fund that is supposed to be used for very specific things, and it doesn't go into the giant operational budget. Like, I understand that part of it, but it's the guarantee that money is going to be there on a yearly basis is what I'm curious about.
For the contracts and for the incentives?
To be able to actually meet those incentives. Like, again, it's not like a business.
Got to keep your investors happy, basically. It is
right.
Kind of like
pretty much.
Okay, but if your investors are not happy and you choke in the first round of the NCAA playoffs, but like that, but like, again, like budget setting wise, okay, again, I'll relate back to my own professional job. I have to give my budget parameters of what I think I'm going to be able to earn versus what the expenses are going to be. Now, if anyone hasn't been paying attention, we're in a bit of an economic kerfuffle at the moment. I won't touch on that too much. But guess what? When I was setting my budget in October, November, I didn't think this was going to be going on.
Yeah.
So we have to ride the wave, and we have to see what's going to happen.
I
now,
have to
I don't
imagine the college waves are a little bit smaller, how they get impacted.
Right. So actually, I think I have less fluctuation in what my budget is going to look like versus what is going to happen with a lot of these schools.
Really?
Maybe
like even the big ones?
Even the big ones. Like, I feel like I think it's going to be it would be really hard to guarantee that money is going to exist. Like, it's going to be sitting there.
I think all the big boys have enough donors, billionaire and millionaire donors, that if you could go to, all right, let's go real old school here. Let's say Cooper Flagg is playing for Oklahoma State. Okay, T-Bone Pickens is the guy who built that school. Basically, he's given him millions and millions of dollars. You go to T-Bone and you go, listen, we're going to offer our boy Cooper Flagg, whatever, $1 million a year.
Sure.
You gonna front that? And he'd go, yup.
Right.
There's your money.
Right.
Probably going to have the smaller names.
I mean, well, but and then based off that, I think they've got guys that could call for multiple contracts, quote unquote.
They're probably overfunded on most of these for the big schools.
But can school revenue go towards that kind of thing? Because that's where I think you can supplement the contract.
I think that's where we're saying, like, I don't think that's the same funding.
No, I don't think so.
Like if us three went to a university, would our tuition go towards that? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
I don't think.
I don't think so.
Yeah, see, it can't.
No, you can't do that. Yeah.
It doesn't.
It'd be basically you have to say it for Cooper Flag. You're donating Duke.
I'm going to school here for Cooper.
Right.
For Duke to pay him.
I'm giving a donation to my alma mater, and I want it to go to this specific fund, just like what they do. Just like what I do with my donors at work.
When are you trying to get the top player in the country to go Winona State?
Yeah,
I'm trying to get the top player to come to Quarry Hill Nature Center.
I love it.
That's right. That's right.
They're starting a team.
What kind of hoops?
We've got no hoops.
Outdoor courts?
We've got no outdoor courts.
Dang.
We could get a swimmer. We have a pond.
Ooh, okay.
What
are we talking?
It's not deep.
Got a pool or a pond, and the pond's good
with
for
all the algae and crap.
So then, if you go back to that comment, you're looking at the top 3 or 4, let's say 5 or 6 schools in each conference. Big time conferences, SEC, would be able to afford the most. Yeah, most talent.
Yeah. So I'll give you contracts. Yeah. But then can we remove these scholarships? Because I don't think you should have scholarships and also have NIL money.
That's kind of what I was.
We can do that. Yeah.
Is that fair?
I guarantee.
Like, why are they getting scholarships if they're also getting $50,000 to $100,000 a year?
I guarantee there's a problem with this somewhere legally. But
no doubt about it.
What if the colleges could just give out a loan instead of the scholarship? And then if someone just transferred, they just go, now you're paying your own loan. We're not going to pay that off.
Liability-wise, man.
So they would just swallow the loan at the end of his career if he stayed.
So
the scholarship loan, yeah.
Player buyouts. I think that should be a real thing.
So I think they're already talking about making that a thing.
So, for example,
I think that's in the Wisconsin thing I was talking about too.
Okay,
yeah.
So the best player from Drake is now going to Wisconsin. Or no, sorry, going to Iowa.
Okay.
For example, let's say if there are player buyouts and these kids had it in their contract, if that's how we're wording this thing, the Iowa would then have to pay Drake $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 to take this kid off their hands to come over there. Because then that gives. Matt's itching over here. He's ready.
The minimal stuff I've looked up, I think that's the direction they're heading right now.
Okay.
But this goes back to my restricted fund. Like, how are these things getting paid for? I would think
the boosters.
I would think if I was talking to boosters and I'm like, hey guys, we got to pay this buyout. And on top of that, we have to pay this person their NIL money as well. Can you support that? Maybe I'm wrong.
I think you're underestimating how rich some of these.
Yeah. Listen, as a not very wealthy person, I cannot wrap my head around that.
Well, yeah. So, Minnesota's not ever going to get anyone.
I cannot wrap my head around it.
Don't worry, we're not going to do anything for a long time.
That's player buyout.
Well, and around St. Thomas, who's built St. Thomas?
That's
Anderson.
St. Thomas and.
As in Anderson Windows.
Oh, gotcha. You're talking about the St. Thomas here.
Yes.
Well, they have a ton of money, but they still
millions and millions of dollars.
But they probably still don't compare to anything that these other schools are getting donated from these other big names.
Well, no, but that's just one name.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
That's just one donor. You're talking about donors?
Yep.
And that's St. Thomas. And that's a small fish in a very large pond, although they've got a ton of. Believe me, they've got a ton of donors.
They have like 10 buildings named after them or something.
So that could be the direction that they're going with this Wisconsin thing is contract buyouts or scholarship buyouts, however you want to word it. Matt had a good point on Monday, and I'm going to let him take this away. But coaching buyouts, and there are coaching buyouts because those Chip Kelly and whoever coached at Notre Dame football before that, they literally paid those two guys millions and millions and millions of dollars to go somewhere else and not coach.
Yeah.
But you had a good point, so I'm going to let you kind of dive into what you were talking about with the coaching and state thing and all that good stuff.
I just feel there's a hyper focus on the players and the money that they are now receiving. And that we should restrict things, or we should restrict them, or we should keep it up to like schools to make these decisions, which that is about
scary.
As far away from what I would ever want to happen. But how could you? I just don't understand how you could say these kids have to have this, but these coaches don't have to. I just feel like there's a massive hypocrisy in that argument. Like,
I feel like that has to just be a skip thought. It's not really
That's been going on forever, though,
Yeah.
and it sucks. But that's been going on forever.
But okay, so college coaches are the highest paid state employees in 36 out of the 50 states.
Yep.
Like they're state employees. They are not just coaches. They are literally part of it is taxpayer funded related stuff.
Yep.
The players are getting 10% of what these coaches are actually getting paid on an annual basis. And I understand that coaches are you are investing them to stick around and to build a program. The players are not going to stick around. The coaches are absolutely going to, and they deserve those incentives and they deserve their money. I don't want to take away coaches' money, even though that sounds like a really fun thing after looking at some football contracts today, which are just absurd. Why would you ever want to go to the NFL when you could just be a college coach at a mid-level?
Some of them don't anymore.
It's ridiculous. But if you're going to force these players to have specific contract language or buyout-related stuff, or the player has to kick in whatever, it's time to throw some non-competes and those types of things in college coaches. It's time.
I agree.
Yeah, you gotta treat the coaches just like you would the players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you get bought out from your school,
well, the thing you have to remember though is that theirs have to be even more so time-based contracts because like they're not leaving college to move on with their life. Like they can stay there for.
But these coaches are getting bought out, and then they can just hop to the next thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying
there should be non-competes.
There should definitely be that kind of stuff.
And you should be stuck eating that contract.
They can't match the student contracts exactly because these students are eventually going to just bail out of college entirely. Like they're not
right.
They can't be there
they're
forever.
leaving. The players is finite.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The coaches don't have to be finite.
Right. Exactly.
But the way that the coaches can shift and move, and I think you were talking about Buzz Williams on Monday and how
Buzz Williams has a system.
He's got it figured out of he can just keep hopping and hopping and hopping and hopping, and it doesn't matter what he achieves.
No, 6
but
years.
Even with contracts,
matter.
you could do that. You just sign a 6-year contract everywhere you go.
But they're not doing that.
Where did he go?
Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
Yeah, he was at A&M. Where did he go? He just moved schools.
No, he didn't. He didn't leave.
He's not.
He's
done
in
with
year.
Texas
He's
yet,
in
right?
year 4 of 6.
Yeah.
I'm serious. In 2 years, we'll hear Buzz Williams on the move again.
Unless someone locks him down.
He already took another job.
You might, fact check that. But I thought he was still with Texas A&M. But continue, Matt.
It's just all of the stuff that we've been talking about how the NCAA said, fine, whatever, we don't care. We're not going to regulate this.
Mm-hmm.
We are just going to open floodgates. And now, after the fact, they're trying to put all of this litigation on top of what's already been established because it's a systemic problem. And they're just like, well, coaches can kind of do whatever they want.
Yeah.
They can kind of do whatever they want. Whatever. Yeah. And I would find that I think most owners would probably more be supportive of the players than they would the coaches.
Oh, I definitely agree.
Yeah, because you hear boosters get pissed off and they want to buy out coaches. Like, I don't want you here. We want to get a new coach in there.
So whatever contract language we want to draw up for the players, and I think we're almost there. I think we're on the right track. If the NCAA is listening, I'm sure they're not.
They're going to.
But that's also what I don't know at all. Our coaches must be paid by the same fund, right? Or are they?
No.
How is that done?
No, they're employees.
They're actually employed by
the university.
So that's the difference. Is like you'd have to.
Which is why they're state employees.
Like, I get your point of whatever contracts would come for the students also should somehow apply similarly to the coaches. But if the payment's coming from a different location, you now have two sides that you have to...
Would the school then be giving W-2s to the players then too? Would everyone become a state employee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
They're all state employees. Everybody pays taxes. This is a job.
Yeah.
This is not a you do it for the love of it anymore.
No, you have to make it a job. This
is your career.
It has to be a semi-professional sport. I don't know if they call it a professional sport because it's not professional, but you have to. Yeah, I agree with you.
They should all be state employees. They should all be in certain capacities of all of that. They should They should have to run through HR. They should have to do all the big business bullshit that everybody else has to do.
I feel like going back kind of to the topic where like all they wanted in the first place was like the $500 to go do something. Why didn't they just not pay them and then like have them? They're allowed to get sponsors and stuff to pay them. Like, wouldn't that solve a majority of the people who wanted this?
Yes, it would.
Yes,
it would.
We would not be.
They screwed it up. And by the way, Buzz Williams went to Maryland.
He did.
Oh, we went to Maryland.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Now that they
I don't know
failed
why
me,
he would jump from A&M to Maryland, but okay.
Well, they were supposed to get me money this year, and so now he's going to win it all next year with them or something. And so when I don't have them on my bracket.
Quick Buzz Williams story. He's been at 4 or 5 schools, and the last 4 schools he's been there for 6 years. And he takes a program that is pretty much non-existent or lower in the conference, gets him to the point where he's riding that line of, okay, he's getting his team there, but he's not fully on top yet. And then he leaves and does the exact...
He can't beat anybody. Yeah.
Not even that he can't beat anyone. He's just, his system is get him to the point where they're just like, okay, A&M showed some promise. Now I'm going to go somewhere else and do the exact same thing with Maryland. And then he might go somewhere else and do the...
impressive that you don't fail anywhere, though.
He hasn't. Honestly, if you look at his resume...
He's a good coach. I like Buzz. Besides when he ran out in the middle of the floor against UT and didn't get a technical, but beyond that, it was fine.
He was looking for that last inbounds play to give you what he wanted from you.
Yeah, he was. That's darn right he was.
So I just again, as the one person who watches the least amount of college basketball and just collegiate sports in general, NIL is good because it gives players money when the colleges were reaping millions off of their backs and their names.
Yes.
Got it. Yes, of course. That means there has to be some sort of regulatory body. I don't know. Let's call them NCAA.
Yep.
We'll just call them NCAA. They're already established. That's great. That does oversight on all of these types of things. Now, do we want to do we want to trust the NCAA to do oversight on anything? Probably not.
No.
Probably not. So we need another governing body. How about us 4? We can be the governing body. we can be the czars of NIL.
I think
and then we get
greedy
and just take all the
and then exactly.
I think we can make some serious changes.
Based on that, Matt, when all this was going down, the NIL stuff was really starting to blow up. The NCAA, you guys might know this, but the NCAA tried to sanction UT, Florida State, and I think it was like the University of North Carolina and somebody else for NIL infractions.
I remember
that.
I remember that vaguely.
Yeah.
I don't.
So what happens is, that's what they tried to do. I mean, they gave them the whole, you're going to get sanctioned and, you're blah, blah, blah. And the chancellor of the University of Tennessee came out in a press conference and went, fuck you. I mean, she, without saying that, that's exactly what she said. She went, the NCAA literally has no idea what they're doing. They will never make this happen. She went, take us to court. We'll meet you there. Let's go, because you guys don't even know what you're doing. And frankly, UT was following the rules. So was Florida State. They're like, we're following the rules that you people set. And now you're telling us we're going to get... She did. And the place, Florida, they took them to court and they went, no. But so your oversight, the NCAA. Yeah, good shot.
Do you guys remember a few years ago, the Northwestern football team was trying to unionize?
Northwestern in Chicago?
Yeah, they were trying to unionize in college.
Really?
And honestly, that's a better fix if the players had union representatives.
Yeah.
Rather than it would lead to contracts and it would lead to different kind of. But honestly, that's the oversight body, is a union that is made up of all of these representatives of the different sports in college.
But if the union was for them, then the transfer portal.
But then you would do collective bargaining with the NCAA.
You'd have to have collective bargaining and all that stuff.
I think then the
coaches would have to unionize, and everybody else would have to unionize.
Because union becomes a side effect of the solution that we already talked about pretty much.
Because in all other professional sports, the players are a union and the coaches are a union. They have coaches.
The coaches would have to unionize.
No, in professional sports, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be the same idea.
Yes.
Is there right now any of that in professional sports?
Yeah.
There is. Okay,
Yeah.
got you. So just
you would do it like all the professional sports do, where you have collective bargaining, and hey, maybe there will be a strike.
Maybe.
Maybe
no NCAA
maybe
tournament.
they'll not show up to work, but I know everybody.
Sad. We can't do this anymore.
I
know
Shut
everybody
it down.
freaks out when you hear unions and stuff, but like that would be a way to actually gain some power.
Yeah.
Until it went totally wrong, and then you had to disband the union.
And then they would go on strike, and we won't be able to get let down by Tennessee again in the Sweet 16.
There you go.
So it might be a good thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'll take UT in the Elite Eight every damn year while every other team is sitting home crying in their beer. I don't care what you say.
I love it.
If my team is in the tournament every year and they're making the Sweet 16 80% of those years, and they make it to the Elite Eight 2 years in a row.
It's kind of like watching the Vikings.
As much as I want them to go farther, I'm good with it, man.
Oh, that's good.
That's a true Minnesota attitude.
Well, that's like Mr. Row the Boat. He can suck and suck and suck and suck. He
PJ.
wins that damn bowl game. He wins that bowl game, and he's the best ever. Moron.
Good old PJ. I think that's a great place to wrap it up. I think that's a great place to wrap it up. Before we wrap it up, guess what the way too early top 25 is right now?
Basketball?
We got
all 25, or can we guess one?
Guess Houston, UConn, Duke, and Tennessee.
Well, do we know for sure whether Cooper Flagg's coming back?
Nope, but I can tell you where they're at.
In the top
Houston.
3?
1.
Yes. UConn.
2.
3. Duke.
2.
5. Fuck. And Tennessee?
10.
17.
8.
Nope, 17.
17?
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost a
They're
lot.
losing a lot of stuff.
Although
That might help them, though.
They just pulled 2 guys out of the portal, man. You talking about the portal?
They're loaded.
They pulled the Maryland guard, the Maryland guard.
Yep.
That'll help.
They pulled this thug dude, this thug kid from Vandy who's a straight. You want a post player? That dude is a post player. Yeah.
Love it.
So, and they think they got the line on the white kid, the McCoby kid from somewhere else too. Another shooter.
There's a kid transferring from one of the Dakotas. It might be from there. Who knows? That's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining, Pops. We really do appreciate it. This is a bonus hybrid episode 25. We'll get back into some fun, not baseball. Well, baseball has started. We're not going to dive into that because we got 197 games left. But
thanks for having me on, boys.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. Always.
Basketball, NBA playoffs are coming up.
NBA season ends on Sunday.
I am going to educate you guys on the Stanley Cup playoffs because I like hockey playoffs. I know we don't need to get into it too much. We got some exciting things coming up. So thank you so much for listening. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Listen to it 7 times, 6 times. Do whatever you want. You can find us on all your streaming services where you find your podcasts. And that's a wrap. We'll be back. Thank you. Peace.
Bye-bye. Hey, you a good one, fellas.